Hello, this is Justin at the Tech Train here, and I'd like to start by demonstrating a new classroom resource that I've been working on, and then I'm going to show you how to create this resource and customize it yourself. So this one here I've called Guess the Phrase, and this is the hardware version. Let's just start this one up. This is Microsoft PowerPoint. So yeah, a little bit of cheese, but that doesn't harm anyone. Well, unless you're lactose intolerant, I guess. But here we have a tutorial demonstration. I'm going to show you how to make this. Basically what we have is a phrase or a word to do with hardware in this case. And just like the Wheel of Fortune game on television, your students will be able to guess letters in the alphabet. And as they do, let's put an E in there, for example. K, L, N, O, P. So as they're guessing letters, those letters appear at the bottom so we can see which letters have been chosen, and letters appear here if they are in the word. And as the students carry on guessing, you can see that the word appears, and eventually they should be able to guess the word. So this is good for keywords, for literacy, for whole class engagement. So it's a really good little resource. I know my students enjoy it, and so I'm going to show you in this tutorial how to make your own interactive Wheel of Fortune Guess the Phrase game show. So with this game show quiz, as you can see, there are three main elements. There are these buttons at the top with the letters A to Z. There's the main game board here with the dark squares showing ones that are not used in this quiz, and the light ones showing where the letters will appear in the word. And at the bottom, this third area is where the letters will be displayed once they've guessed. So if you go around the classroom, for example, individually, one at a time, going around the ring, or however you choose it, lollipop sticks, whatever your method of choosing students, if they choose a letter and it is not in the word, then it will appear at the bottom. Let's just get another couple. I have no idea what this particular phrase is. I can't remember which one I've got now. But you'll see that as letters are chosen that do appear in the word, then they appear up here. And eventually, if you go through enough letters, you'll work out what the word or phrase is. There we are. I think I've got input there. So you see the idea of the game, three main areas. So I'm going to show you how to create this. And the best thing about this resource is that you can create a template which then you can reuse really quickly and easily to create all your individual words. So for example, in this one, once the students have guessed that one, I simply go on to the next slide, and there's another puzzle, and one after that, and so on. I think in this particular presentation I've got 10 words, but I've created a template that I can just copy and reuse over and over again for different topics, different words, whatever. It's really quick and simple once you've got it set up. So let's open PowerPoint first of all and have a look at how to create this. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up a blank presentation, and I'm just going to change the layout of this to a blank slide, and I'll also just switch this as well to widescreen. So just set that to widescreen. Okay, so first of all, I'm not going to worry too much about all the colours, the style and everything. We'll keep things quite simple for this one. But what we do need is a shape, first of all, for the letters. Now, I've chosen the rectangle shape there. Quick tip, you may or may not know this one. When you draw a rectangle, of course, it goes all over the place. If you wanted a perfect square, though, hold the Shift key down, and that will snap to a perfect square. And that's what I would like for this one. So I'm going to create a square first of all, which will be for the letters. So I'm going to bring that down here to begin with. You can style this however you like. As I said, I'm not going to worry too much about the appearance on this one, but I'm going to put a letter A in this one and just increase the size of that. So I'll just very quickly use a preset just so it looks nice. So there we are, that's our first letter, and what I'm then going to do is I'm going to duplicate that, bring it up to the top, and this is where I'm going to create the buttons for the individual letters. So this will need to be a little bit smaller, So we'll need to have a button there for A. Let's just zoom in a bit so I can grab that. There we are. And then I'm just going to press Control D to duplicate that, pop it next to it, and then change that to a B. For this tutorial, I'm not going to create all the letters of the alphabet. Control D again, we'll just duplicate that one. I'll just do A, B, and C just for the demonstration of this. I'm sure you'll get the idea. So there's my 3 buttons at the top. And then what I'll need to do down here is, of course, create buttons for the individual letters of the alphabet. So I'll have an A, a B, and as I say, I'll just do A, B, and C for this tutorial, so you get the idea. There we are. Now, what I would generally do for the middle part is actually duplicate one of these, bring it up, get rid of the letter in there, and turn it to a sort of a lighter color. So let's change that to a light white color, and that will then create the basic structure, the game board, if you like, for the pieces. Let's get rid of that one. I'm going to want to put all these in the center, so I'm going to just select all those. I'm going to right click and group them temporarily. Then I'm going to go to Format, Align, and Align Center, and then I can ungroup those, and that's now in the center. Let's just duplicate that and bring that down. So you can have 3 lines, 2 lines, how many lines you want really. Depends on the sort of phrases you're using. But that's my game board. Those are my 3 buttons at the top. And then we've got this bit down here as well. Now, the next thing that we need is to name these buttons here. So these simply need to be named A, B, and C. You'll see why in a minute. So we head to the Home tab and then click on Select and open up the selection pane where we can see the names of all the objects. I'm then going to just zoom in a little bit so we can see this more clearly. I'm going to zoom up to these little buttons at the top. I'm going to click on my A button just on the edge of it, which you can see is currently called rectangle 4, and I'm going to name that button A. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the B button, which you can see is currently rectangle 5. Let's change that to B, and then C, change that from rectangle 6 to C. So obviously what you would do is have the whole of the alphabet done along the top here, and then name each of those letters. The ones down here don't need to be named, that's not important. Now, of course, what you will need are several A's down here, because it could well be that the word you're looking at is abacus or something like that, which has multiple A's in it. So in order to be able to create the opportunity to create a template that you can reuse over and over again, but which will support multiple duplicate letters, what I would do is have, in fact I have 10 copies of this A panel down here. You'll see why in just a few moments. So what I'm going to do is press Control D, and then I'm just going to move that up and to the right slightly, so that when I press Control D again, the next duplicate is up and right to that. So that's 3 buttons, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm then going to select all of those buttons. I'm holding down the Shift key while I click so I can select multiple shapes. And then if I head to Format and Align, I'm simply going to align left and align bottom, which effectively stacks all of those on top of each other. Now notice they have a shadow effect, which I probably want to get rid of. So let's just get rid of the shadow effect so that we don't have that extra boldness appearing. Right, need to do the same thing with B now, so I'm going to press Control D to duplicate it. Just drag it slightly up and to the right, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then hold Shift down to select all of those, and then simply align them left and bottom again, like that. And then finally we'll do the same thing for C, so we'll duplicate that one, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It doesn't matter how many of these you use can use fewer or more, whichever. So then it just gives the bottom and left. It just gives you the potential to create longer phrases, more interesting phrases. And since you're building a template rather than an individual game, it just makes it much easier in future. Okay, so we now have the 3 areas of our screen. So we have our buttons along the top, we have our display board in the middle, and we have our letters along the bottom. The next thing to do is to add a simple animation. Now what I'm going to do is select all of the A buttons down here. So I'm going to select all of those A's, and of course because they're stacked on top of each other, by simply dragging a frame over them selects all of those. We can see that if we go to the selection pane, you can see that all of those there have been selected. And then what we're going to do is head to the animations tab. We're going to add an animation, and I want them to fade in. You can make them appear, you can make them do whatever you like, you make them rotate or spin. This is entirely up to you, but I'm just going to go to fade. Now crucially, once I've added the animation, I have to add a trigger. So I want these to appear when I press this A button up here. So I click on trigger, still with all these selected here, still with that animation selected, and I'm going to choose the trigger on the click of A, which is the name I gave this button over here earlier on. So I click on that, then I do the same thing for B. So I select all the B buttons, add an animation, fade them in, trigger is on the click of the B. And finally C, add an animation, fade, trigger on the click of C, and so on. So again, it's a little bit fiddly the first time you set this up, but once you've got it, it's there, it's a template, you can then reuse that. So let's say that you've created this full template now. We can simply duplicate that slide, leave this template slide alone, and build our first quiz. So to build a quiz, what you would do is grab the letters that you want. So because you've got multiple letters stacked up here, you can have as many of them as you want. Let's just choose C, A, B. And then let's imagine this is a taxi for a sheep. So B and A and A. There we go. So when you've created your template, this is how you will create the individual games, just by dragging the tiles from the bottom part up to the top part here. So when we play the game, let's play this particular slide now. You'll see that the buttons down here, the tiles down here, do not show. Similarly, the ones up here don't show. So we have to press one of these buttons to guess a letter. Let's guess a C. So we click on the C button, and you can see that the C appears here and down here as well. This is of course a stack of all the C's we haven't used, but because they're lined up it doesn't look like that. We can just see the letter that has been chosen so far. Let's choose a B, so we click on the B button. Again, we can see that those B's appear, and then finally click on the A, and there are all the remaining letters. It's as simple as that. So by creating this template up here, you can then duplicate that and create as many individual games really quickly as you like. Theme them, color them, do whatever you like, and of course, if you're like me, add as much cheesy music and animations as you possibly can. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions at all, please do feel free to leave a comment below, and I will do my best to answer and assist. If you did like the video, it would be awesome if you could give it a quick thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then please click the subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell as well, so that you're notified as soon as a new video goes live. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Thank you very much indeed for hitting that like button, because I know you did, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye bye for now.